everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I've got the new Colorama Clubhouse. This is Clubhouse 20. I had done previous reviews of Clubhouse work. I don't know that they will all be posted by the time this goes up. Starting with their very small editions that were like a poster that folded out and then had a comic on the inside. They have since moved to doing books. These are all risograph prints, and they've moved on to doing these books. I've looked at numbers 14 and 17 that are in the book form. I really, if I remember correct, enjoyed 17 the best and was looking forward to Clubhouse 20 as being an extension of that. Each one of these is a really unique design. You can see here with the coils on it. Clubhouse 17 was bound in a really interesting way as well. I will say this one with these on here, I just don't think for, people, this is a kind of limited edition special artist thing that's for people who collect books and stuff. This just isn't going to sit on the shelf well, and we all know these kind of things fall apart. So I'm not too excited about that, and it doesn't seem to have any reason related to the content. Other than that, you could take these all out, I guess. But anyways, I like people trying these things, and it's really cool. You can see the awesome design here. You can see this really interesting just texture here that they're using to put the table of contents. What the Clubhouse anthologies are, they get a bunch of artists together in Berlin for a 2-week thing. They'll have 10 artists do a poster on a theme, and then they'll have 10 artists do a comic in response to the poster. So I'll show you one of each of those things, the poster and then one page from the artist. But here you can see it's all the risographs, and with the risograph you can get all kinds of fun production tricks. Again, if I remember correct, the issue, oh, that's not good. Don't put sticky notes on your risographs. But if I remember correct, the production in 17 had a lot of special metallic inks and stuff. This did not have that, but still what's being done with the colors is really interesting. So this is Nino Bowling doing the illustration here, and then Leomi Sadler doing the comic. As with most anthologies, there's things that I like more or less. This was one of the ones that again, the risograph kind of adds weight to a lot of stuff just because of the production, but this also felt like something that didn't really need to be a risograph. When I'm looking at risographs, I'm really looking for, is someone actually using the technology to get a look that would be harder to achieve on any other machine. So a work like this, I know you could do it in CMYK, but there's something about the way this is done that's really combining the colors that are given, and I think that's really beautiful. So that's a poster by Connor Williamson, and then the comic is by Loka Butzbach. This is another one that I think, probably actually would have been, I really like this comic, but I think it would have been better done on a regular 4-color press just because of the fidelity, because this is obviously a watercolored thing, and then this looks, I guess it's watercolor cut out on top of a dot tone pattern. It almost looks like embroidery, but it's not. It's like a collaged watercolor on top of a sheet of tone, which is really interesting, but it does make it look like embroidery on canvas. But I think with the risograph, there's some of the fidelity of this kind of stuff gets lost when the work's not being prepared specifically for this process. This is the theme of this book, by the way, is called Crushing. A lot of the artists are using it in terms of romantic having a crush. Here it's being used in a little bit more Robert Mapplethorpe way. This is a Ninu Kedu, and then the art is by Sun Ni. Sun Ni is doing a really interesting thing where it's almost like a conceptual art by Yoko Ono or something, where there's this fake game. This game starts, rules of this game. You can play this game alone or with others. Starts this game. So it's more like a little strange poetics of form mixed with an instruction manual of a game that you can kind of imaginary game you can play. It's interesting. This is Santiago Licata, and the artwork on the comic is by Jamila Lowe. This one is more of a series of just prints that come together to tell a story, but this is one that I think makes really good use of the the actual material process of the risograph machine, which is kind of like a mechanical version of a photocopier mixed with the screen print. And so you get like these colors printed over each other, and instead of having to have an ink mix like where this color is represented by some mix of C, M, Y, and K, you actually just get those two colors actually working on top of each other transparently to get some structural color. And structural color is when light is bouncing through, like going through the ink and bouncing off the paper and coming back. There are some looks that you can kind of mimic, but you can't get totally. Same with painting, you can't reproduce totally. And so this artist is very much making use of those for these transparencies and translucency moments. And I really like the way that looks. Not all of them are done that way, but you can tell when they are. There's a solidity to the color. Here we get the poster / comic, it looks like, by Sarah Louise Barbette. And then the comic is by Nicole Shin. This is a really interesting one, again, that's making use of like the colors that you get within the risograph process and the way they layer over each other, the way that you can really easily like drop a black line out and colorize it. I think that's being all used very, very well in this stuff. And also some interesting, like here it looks like a photograph of a stucco wall has been collaged in there. So I really thought that this is some interesting art in here. The poster here is by Amina Bouajila, and the artwork in the comic is by Mia Oberlander. Here's another one where, the kind of ability to do spot color is on display, and I quite like that. I also like throughout this comic, this is a little story about a girl going on a date, and she's getting all fancied up and stuff. And throughout the book, like her heels are like her as well, and you can see her getting crushed. Like as the date goes on, the heels are constantly getting abused, and I like that little visual metaphor. So like taking that idea of crushing and using it in a couple different ways is really cool. This poster is by Haein Kim, and the comic is by Aki Hassan. This, I think, is my favorite one in the book. It's really, really beautiful. It uses the risograph, like the textural quality of the risograph really well. It uses those overlays of inks really well, this application of spot colors. It reminds me a lot of Andrew White's work, who's someone I really love, and it just kind of has this much softer, poetic feel to it. The colors on the page, like just everything about it, I think is really, really beautiful. So really, really into that, and we'll definitely be looking for more of Aki Hassan's work. Also really enjoyed this poster comic by Marco Quadri. I found Marco on Instagram and saw that Marco also is doing comics work, so excited to see something long form from Marco. Again, using the ability of the risograph to get like big flat areas of color that are really intense, the strange colors. And then the comic here is by Tommy Parrish, whose work I love quite a bit. And this is you can see, has provided Tommy a chance to experiment with things outside of their normal range. This is not the type of painted work that I'm used to seeing in Tommy's comics. And I like seeing that. I like seeing when an artist has a chance. It's like bands back in the day, you'd be like on a soundtrack and you could try something different. I remember the Spawn movie soundtrack was awesome because you had all these contemporary bands mixed with contemporary, like Korn and Crystal Method and Incubus, and I forget who mixed theirs. But these experiments that are outside of someone's normal style, I think, are really, really interesting and give a better insight into all of the things that an artist is considering. And then even playing with like these printmaking techniques and stuff. If you're going to go to this 2-week residency experimenting with the process that you maybe had never even used before, like, hell yeah, experiment. And so I love that. The story content of it isn't as impactful as a lot of Tommy's other work, but I don't care. Like, it's that artistic exploration. Here's a really nice poster by CF. Again, kind of taking advantage of the process, using these dots, using those solid colors to play with the idea of color mixture and just have these beautiful design elements. The comics by Eva Christine Laugo. Again, someone who's taking advantage of the process, someone who's like playing surreally with the poetics of form. So really love that. Really love the color combinations. This I think was my other piece that I really responded to in this one. Just beautiful stuff. Again, something that I would love to have a full book of this kind of work. And I believe I was able to find this artist on Instagram as well. Josephine M.K. Edwards on this piece here. This is one that feels more like, it's probably done with markers and stuff. It doesn't seem as specific to the risograph process, but some of the coloration in here makes me think otherwise. I'm not sure. It's just a very different aesthetic for the risograph, I guess. And then the comic is by Margot Ferrick. I really enjoyed the line quality on this one. Something about the mark making in this one, these textural moments, things like this, I think are really interesting. This is obviously being printed. You can see the dots from the printing process on there to make it look like it's on a toned paper. I feel like in previous clubhouses, there's actually been different papers for different artists and things like that. Like here they are, I don't think that's a printed color. No, this is just a colored paper. So it would have been cool to see this just on a toned paper. I don't know why the tone of the paper, I guess maybe that's what it looked like when they scanned it. It was colorized already. So a lot of really cool art in here, a lot of interesting stuff. Then you have this, which I don't remember from the other ones, which is almost like a little journal compilation, little memory book, yearbook for the artists there. Like you can see here, Tommy Parrish's, this is something that was made that was included in the comic. So some of the pieces like stripped out, some of the experiments made, photographs of the artists hanging around having meals and stuff. Here's some more of the art, notes from people. So just this like extra stuff that they like. I think this kind of thing is really cool for the artists as well, because this is going to be an awesome document of this residency that they went to. And then all of the artists' information, how to get in touch with them, and these other beautiful little poster prints. So another like really beautiful book. I do think, in the previous ones there were more custom papers and more like metallic inks and stuff. I don't know if that's just something that they took off the table for this book or just none of the artists wanted to use it. I think that was one of the things that was most compelling to me about the Clubhouse stuff, is this really chance to do these couture kind of print technique things that you can't do elsewhere. And I don't feel like this one had as much of that, but I still, like I said, I enjoyed a lot of the content in here. It's just those really edge case techniques of printing are very beautiful for me. And so I think I was a little bit more excited about that. And then on this one, I do think like this is gonna get destroyed eventually on the shelf. So yeah, like overall, 100% go out and get it. There's a lot of beautiful stuff in there, but there's a couple little things in here that I maybe one was just my expectation, and then this not so much. But this is for people who are interested in production and stuff. I think this is one of the leading anthologies out there. And obviously, as a residency, I don't know how. I didn't see anything in here about how to be part of it. But I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of artists who want to go try something different, want to try this new printing process, want to go experiment with, hey, I want to print with like 8 inks or something like that. I think this is a very valuable thing, and I hope that Colorama keeps doing it. Their little intros are always kind of like, oh God, we're doing this again. Oh my God, it's so much work. But they've got 20 of them, and I hope they keep going, because I think they're really doing something stellar for the comics community.
standa heitir Yggdrasill Hárbáð mareisinn hvíta ári Þaðan kom að öggva þær síðala falla stendur ei fígrætt urðarbrunni Ask veit ég standa heitir Yggdrasill Hárbáð mareisinn hvíta ári Þaðan kom að öggva þær síðala falla stendur ei fígrætt urðarbrunni
Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.